today, a little bit different in flavour, really. I'm going to share with you 3 books that have got nothing to do with fitness but will actually improve your fitness. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there's tons and tons and tons of fitness books out there, and magazines and Instagram posts and Google and social media and there and all this sort of stuff. And the reality is they're all the same damn thing. You do some type of squatting, you do some sort of deadlifting, you do some sort of pushing, you do some sort of pulling, you do some core work, and you do some sort of cardio work. And essentially that is training, and you might do different types of sets and different types of reps, but ultimately what you want to do is work reasonably hard most of the time, and that's kind of training. And a lot of the time the learning is in the doing, especially when it comes to training. You first start out and you might not be that strong, you might not be that fit, and you start off at a certain level, and then over time you improve and you improve and improve, and eventually you become fit, or fitter at least, or fit enough for your chosen sport or your lifestyle or whatever it is. So I think there's enough fitness books out there. We don't need any more. We don't need any more sort of contribution. Certainly not from me, anyway. So I want to really share with you the 3 books that I think that will really improve your fitness, and they're a little bit off center. So bear with me, and I'll talk you through them. Anyway, so the first one is Susan Jeffers' "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway." Okay, book 1. All right. Now, this is a really good book, and this is probably one of the first ones that I bought in the whole self-development thing. And I think, like, at the time, I was in a really struggling sort of place, and I needed something to sort of like help me out. And I didn't really know what that was. Anyway, I saw this in Waterstones, and I bought it, and it outlines that fear is always with us. And from an evolutionary standpoint, fear has always been our friend, because it's kept us safe. I know that sounds a bit weird, fear being our friend, but it has, and we pick things up to do with fear. So, for example, once upon a time when we were living in a cave, you would come out your cave, and your fellow cave person would say, mind out, there's a tiger on the left, and you're going to go, there's a tiger on the left there. You know what I mean? And that's kept us safe. So we're attuned to hear this sort of like this negativity, this negative self talk. And fear, what that does is when fear is real and it's authentic and it's real, it keeps us from causing us harm. Now, what this book does is sort of essentially acknowledges that, but also really acknowledges the fact that nothing really that dangerous anymore. Certainly not in this country, at least, or even in the West. I know it might not seem like that, but actually, currently, 2020, this is the safest time to be alive ever in human history. So there's nothing really to be afraid of. But we operate, but that fear system is still very ingrained in us, and media companies, news companies, news outlets, CNN, BBC, things like that, they use that against us, really, and fear is a huge driving force. So, for example, marketing companies will say that you're missing out, the fear of missing out. I've done a video on this; it'll be in the description below, and they'll use that in order for you to take part. So, fear is something that's with us all the time, and what this book does, it helps us. Well, it says in the title, really, feel the fear and do it anyway. So, a practical application of this in the gym is this. I hear this all the time. The gym is a scary environment, and I run a workshop actually to help people gain confidence in the gym, because it's such a scary environment. But why is it a scary environment? Because I've delved into this, and people will say, oh, you see all these people, and you know what they're doing, and it's scary, and you don't want to go and ask for things, and blah, 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 and they don't want to make a fool of themselves. So breaking that down is they don't want to go and ask for things in case someone gets angry at them, or tells them no, or is disrespectful to them, or whatever. But ultimately, that doesn't really cause you any harm. Like, nothing bad happens. So if nothing bad happens, then what have you got to lose? And in terms of looking stupid, that's sort of like, looking silly in front of your peers. And that's a very real thing to be afraid of, because once upon a time, if you did something silly in front of your peers, or did something in front of your peers that didn't sit right with the tribe, then you might have been rejected from the tribe. So it was important that you fit in. But the reality is, We're out of the caves now. We don't need to have that fear, but yet we have it anyway. So from a real practical standpoint, going to the gym, when you look at it objectively and you look around and you realize there's nothing actually to be afraid of. So you might as well go, you might as well train hard, you might as well try something new and be prepared to fail. Because what's stopping you from progressing forward is that fear of looking silly, trying too hard, not trying hard enough, and all of the things that kind of come along with that. And it's the same with competition, but we're going to talk about fear and competition in another video further on down the line. You know, when we acknowledge that in terms of the gym, there's nothing really to be afraid of, then there's no need for fear to get in our way in order to stop progression. It's not worth it. So, book 1, feel the fear and do it anyway. That's an awesome book. Book 2. Okay, so Bessel van der Kolk. The Body. Can you see that? Yeah. The Body Keeps the Score. I mean, this is probably one of the latest ones that I've read, and it's just amazing. If I'm honest, it's just an incredible book, and it's all about trauma, which might sound a little bit dramatic. You know, what's trauma got to do with fitness? Well, you know, we all experience trauma from different types. So some people that have been to war, they obviously experience a very different trauma. I've never done anything like that. I don't want to either. You know, but bullying is a traumatic experience. Basically, what is a traumatic experience is anything that basically sort of like has a significant impact on your life that makes you veer off course or, you know, change course, I guess. The trauma is relative to the individual. So, for example, like someone that is continually getting bullied, that's very traumatic for them. But someone who's been to war and seen people get blown up, that's very traumatic to them. And, you know, so it's all on completely different levels. And so when you read this, there's examples from all over the place, from some sort of like people that have been to war, some people have been through some very, very, very traumatic childhood experiences. And then you read it, and once you kind of understand that sort of like trauma is on a sliding scale, I guess, and you know, but it's all on there, then you can start moving forward with it. And basically, what you learn is through sort of childhood experience and traumatic experience or whatever, then we learn to self-soothe, and I speak a lot about self-soothing in my other videos. So if this is your first time watching it, just have a little go through some of the videos, especially the ones around sort of like habit and behaviors and things like that. Then I always talk about our ability to self-soothe through Instagram, through eating, through sort of like drinking and taking drugs and various bits and bobs that we do emotionally to soothe some sort of pain. And this book really helps to guide and understand that. And if I'm honest, this book really led me to really quite significantly change on how I did things, because we're going to teach people how to train and we lift weights and we run. You know, that's just such a minor part of it. Like I said right at the start of the video, there's so much information out there. If it all worked, then we wouldn't be in a position that we're in. So something different has to happen, and this was a huge book into sort of like for me to sort of like realize that and start working more towards, you know, changing behaviors and changing mindset with the view to improve healthy outcome, healthy behaviors and health, which will produce a healthy outcome in terms of you're going to improve your health, you're going to improve your fitness, you're going to lose body fat and all of these positive things. You know, if you watch one of my videos on the habit cycle, I talk about sort of like how, you know, eating and drinking is we can use it as a strategy to soothe feeling bad, so like mental pain or physical pain sometimes as well, or whatever it is. But this book goes a really long way to do it. And another thing as well that it really helped me with is injuries. So, you know, when I was younger and I was doing track and field, we talk about this a lot. If I'm totally honest with you, like, you know, I picked up a few injuries, and basically what happened was every time I got stressed, every time I got tense around a race, that repeated hamstring injury would come back and rear its little head again. And then after a while, I think I leaned. There's no I think about it. I'm fairly sure that at the time I definitely leaned on injuries, past injuries, to basically sort of like excuse a poor performance, and that's got something to do with being afraid of success and failure, but also the fact that like if you go looking for injuries, you're going to find them. And the reality is, you can break any bone in your body, and in 6 weeks, it's going to be healed. Your body is exceptionally, exceptionally robust, and it's exceptionally, exceptionally resilient, far more resilient than you realize. And we treat it like a piece of glass, and it isn't. It's way more robust than we think. And now moving forward in terms of my jiu-jitsu, my competition there, I definitely believe in I want to step on the mat fearless, feel the fear and do it anyway, fearless. I also, not in terms of like being afraid of my opponent, but terms of just sort of like not being afraid to give it 100%, whatever that looks like, and don't be afraid of looking stupid, success, failure, all of these things that come along with that. And again, we'll talk about fear and competition at another time. But this book, sorry, The Body Keeps a Score. If you had a bit of a traumatic childhood or whatever, then and you're struggling with nutrition and food and stuff, I'd give that a read if I were you. It will shine a big light on some things. The last one, actually, do you know what? I'm going to throw a little bonus in here as well. The last one, Charles D. Duhigg, this one, The Power of Habit. This is a really, 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 really good book. It helps you really deeply understand, or somewhat deeply understand, how the habit cycle works, positive and negative habits, and how basically everything that we do is just a learned series of actions and behaviors. And by understanding how habits are built, how negative habits are built and positive habits are built, then what we can do is, it's the first step to learning how to create new positive habits that are going to benefit us in our life and improve our fitness and improve our health. Again, there's no point in having the perfect training program and the perfect running program beautifully done on an amazing Excel spreadsheet with charts and flow charts and fucking stars on it and all sorts of shit. But if your habits are terrible and you can't even get to the gym because you're either sort of like afraid of looking daft, or maybe sort of like your nervous system, your deep central nervous system is telling you the negative story, or perhaps you haven't got the right habit, then you can have the best program you want, but if you don't go ahead and do it, if you don't go ahead and execute, then the reality is it's going to stay a great program on a spreadsheet, and if it stays there and doesn't get used, then was it ever a good program to begin with? So this power of habit is a great step into understanding that. For me, the only bit that's missing from it is learning. We are learning as humans. We are a learning machine. We remember stuff, and the other thing as well is internal motivation. Read, feel the fear and do it anyway, and study fear for internal motivation. A very interesting subject, because internal motivation, all we really want to do is move away from sort of cognitive or physical pain. Our motivation to move as far away from that as humanly possible is exceptionally motivating to us. In other words, success and winning. That's really, really important. Understand fear and understand sort of like what pain is. If you understand that, then you'll start having an idea of what internal motivation looks like. And in terms of memory, we remember things, and this is how we learn, on our central nervous system, and our minds and our bodies learn actions and behaviors. I'd watch my video on why we form bad habits. I think I titled it that, or something along them lines. Watch that video, and that'll give you a really good, clear understanding of how habits are formed. But read this book. Like, this is a really worthwhile book to read. It's a really, really good, like, nicely broken down, and it will be a huge step into understanding how your habits are actually formed. Right, the extra little bonus for you is, everyone's going to be expecting me to say James Clear. What's it fucking called now? Atomic Habits. It's not. I mean, I haven't really got anything against that book. I don't know, like everyone raves about it. I just think this And this, Near Ale, Hooked, these two are better. I just really do believe that. Because this book is specifically how to build habit forming products, okay? This is basically sort of like the blueprint on how to make your phone addictive, okay? And this is stuff that businesses use to create things that are addictive. Now, this is based off the back of this, essentially, with a few little added extras in. And I just think if you can understand these two and you're understanding habit, you will go a long, long, long way into really breaking down your habits and really breaking down your behaviors, understanding why we do the thing, understand why we do the things that we do, and then basically overcome the fear, do it anyway, and you're well on your way to really improving your health. And I don't mean just from sort of like I don't mean just the practical element of it, but just your mindset, how you approach fitness, how you approach health, how you approach yourself, how you see yourself and you live with yourself, and the narrative that we have with ourselves, because that is the most important thing. So there we go. So there's 3 books that have got nothing to do with fitness, but will absolutely improve your fitness. So those books again are Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Awesome. This is going to help you understand yourself. The body keeps a score. Even if you haven't really been through anything traumatic, it's just well worth reading anyway. It just gives you an opportunity to be far more empathetic with the world. And The Power of Habit. Awesome book. 3 books, definitely recommend them. And if you want another 4th, go for that. If you really want to don't want to deal with those 2, then James Clear's, I guess, will do. Everyone seems to like it. I like it. There's plenty of stuff to go in there that I like. It just wasn't very groundbreaking for me for whatever reason. But that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. So if you don't like it, then whatever. Just comment below. Go like, James Clear's book is amazing. Go for it. Whatever. Don't mind. Anyway, they're the books that I recommend. Yeah, a little bit different. Let me know if you like it or not. Let me know in the comments. Just let us know. All right, cool. See you next week.